Hi, I'm Carrie, and this is an episode of Conversations and Connection. It's all part of Silver Lining Moments in the Being Journals. Basically, I just use the Being in 2020 journal and a list from that journal, and I call up some friends and we share our 2020 experience. Let's face it, there's a lot for us to process and go through from 2020, so let's do it with some friends. So using the Being in 2020 journal, I picked a list and call some friends. As we go through this conversation, please feel free to do this on your own or join in, write in your answers to the list in the comments to this video, or in your own journal that you can get on Amazon, or better yet, call some friends and connect with some of your friends. As you'll find from as I found in my conversations, what I thought were going to be short conversations ended up being very connecting conversations with friends, some who I've not talked to in a long time. And it was so nice to reconnect and share our experiences. So for this episode, join me and my guest. First is my friend Lori.
Hello.
My friend Lauren. And my friend Greg. And we are on 3 different continents. Lori is in California, Lauren in California, Greg's in Panama, and I am in Albania. So we're all coming together, and thank you guys so much for being a part of this.
Lauren, you're in California?
Did I say California?
No, Florida.
Oh, Lauren's in Florida. Oh, yes. But we're all together.
I was kind of excited. I was like, you're down the street.
You would know it if I was in California.
I hope so.
So before this, we decided on a list to go through from our journal, and it is resetting normal. So right now, take a minute and just think about, and you can write down on your list, we all have our journals and our notebooks, the new way of doing things, the parts of or lessons from 2020 that I will keep for myself and or for the world. And so I'm just going to be quiet, give us 30 seconds to a minute to just think about this. And if anyone's listening to this, now's a good time for you to write down your answers. Okay, so wherever you are for this, you can keep writing this on your own if you're listening to this at home. And for Lori, Lauren, Greg, and I, we can write for this on our own, like more on our own later too. So does anyone want to share what they were thinking of or go through their list? I can. Anyone want to start? Okay, I'm going to call on someone. Hey, Lauren.
I'll start. Okay. So a couple items from the list. The first one I put was working remotely. So I'm in tech and I've worked remote plenty of times before, but for specific reasons. So like when my kids were young, I had a nanny at home and I worked at home, but they were there and the nanny was there and there was a context to it outside of just myself. And now with everything with the pandemic, throughout 2020, our entire office is remote. And so it's not a me thing, it's an everyone thing. We're all remote, we're all working together on Zoom. Collaboration has completely changed and become, I think, a bit stronger. And then I've also been able to incorporate new routines. Like every morning I work out before work because I don't have to drive. I'm not in the car, I'm not commuting. So, and then when the kids come home, I'm there. So for me, working remote, I hope that after 2020.
So with you working from home with working remotely, were you saying before COVID-19, there were times where you could work remotely, but it wasn't by everyone. So did it kind of like felt like, were you a little bit outside, like you felt a little outside from your coworkers, but now you feel like you're all in this together, more part of a team and collaboration?
Definitely. So prior, it would be most of the people in the office, and then I would be remote. So for example, if you're in a large meeting or there's a group conversation and you're the one that's on the camera and everyone else is in the room reading body language. And now the company I work for, there's a girl in California, and she had mentioned how much work life has improved because everyone's remote now. And prior, it was an office in Florida. She was the one in California. Now we're all remote and we're all distributed, and we have people from multiple states, and so we can collaborate at the same
You just froze. So while you're unfreezing, I think I'm just going to finish where I think you were going. But how nice is that? I never thought of it that way. But from feeling like you're being like an outsider, you're now enveloped as part of the team again. That's nice. I never thought of that as being the remote thing. I didn't think about people who worked remote when they weren't part of the team feeling that way either. So that's a nice reset. Okay. Anyone else want to share about anything else? We could each share one or two things. Greg, did you moved your arm, so I thought that was raising.
No, I got it. Lauren stole two of mine already, working remote and less driving. And in regard to my third thing, it's not directly related to like the COVID and 2020 nonsense, but it's indirectly related. In September, because of COVID, I had to pick up some side hustles, side gigs. And one of them was driving for a company called Go Goose, doing like a DoorDash. And me and the owner and one of the restaurants we worked for, we became good friends. And we all had a lot of time on our hands sitting around because no one was ordering food. So we all wanted to do something just to keep our time occupied. So I became a vegetarian in the month of September.
Really?
And then I went to Mexico for vacation. So I gave it up then. But now I'm continuing to be a vegetarian. So I think I want to continue being a vegetarian. It's so easy right now because all this plant-based food, like the Beyond Burgers, just so easy. So that's the one thing I want to carry on. And it's good. I'm doing in regard to the less driving, it's good for the environment. Yeah. So I want to do it to help the animals, not for health reasons, not because whatever. I want to do it specifically for the animals. And I want to eat less animals.
I know, when you look at them, they're so adorable. Like Rob and I went for a walk along here, and we're in an area in Durez where you just walk up a little mountain way. It's the sea to the left and mountains to the right. But anyways, we're walking. Next thing you know, we came across like 4 cows, and then there were like goats, and I'm just like, these animals are so adorable. How can people like eat them?
And they have personalities. Like I house sat too, like you house sat. I house sat for like 12 chickens one time, and all these chickens have personalities.
They're so cute.
I don't want to eat these people with personalities.
I know. No, meanwhile, I'm that way, and I understand that. But I know, like my husband Rob, he eats meat, and he's like, how can I eat them? I just eat them, So I'm not saying don't eat meat. That's fine, but they are cute animals.
I have to poke on to Greg's because that was one of the items. I saw a documentary in March, and I've been doing that now since March as well.
Being a vegetarian.
I've actually heard, I think it's becoming trendy to say.
I think it is.
Yeah, it is. It's been tied with the climate movement, climate change and green movement, in addition to animal movement as well. And I think that's part of it too. So
Did you have turkey, Lauren?
Yeah, I have the total opposite perspective because my dad is a farmer. And so for me, and then not only that, but because I just am on a very like a low inflammatory diet, which requires animal protein, because plant protein causes a lot of inflammation in your intestines. So, but this is something when I was living in Florida and I was trying to get everybody to eat local and like figure out like you can lower your footprint by just knowing how the animals are raised. But what it does is it forces you to understand you're still eating animals, but like animals can be raised sustainably and they can be raised humanely. And it's just like it's really the mass, really cheap meats that you get in stores. I mean, I know everybody jokes, they're like, I know the name of my whatever, but it's not bad to know the name of your pig before you eat the bacon. because
That's not where I thought you were going with that. I thought you were going to say the name of the farmer.
But I mean, because if you do, you know, they're cared for, and
Yeah.
that the animals lived a good life, and they were probably like, and if they're cared for, that means they're fed a diet that is good for you when you.
Yeah.
So
That's true.
That's why
I did not go vegetarian, but I do, like, I understand where you're coming from, but I do think that you can, if you don't want to go there, you can still eat humanely. You just have to eat less meat because it's going to be more expensive.
Yeah.
To do
That's
it.
why I have no desire to go vegan, because I know a lot, especially in Panama, there's so many people that have chickens running around their backyard and their entire backyard, the eggs, the chickens are free range, and also I have no desire to go vegan. Vegetarian, yeah, but vegan, no. It's because it is easy, like Lori said, to be humane to the animals.
It is.
Well, I think to your point, Greg, as part of what got me was mass production, like you said, Lori. I mean, food on a mass production scale is just not sustainable right now. And the things that they're fed, and then the things that you're eating that they're fed, and that process is what bothered me the most.
Yeah.
I know what you're saying with eating less meat. I have some friends from Tibet, which Tibet is Buddhist and traditionally don't eat meat, but the climate in Tibet is very hard where they really need to eat yak. And that's like their sustaining life because there's not that much that can grow there. But how they described it is like, we care for the yak, like, the names for it. Like, we see them as giving us life. So we want to make sure that they have a good life while they're living. And then, I don't know if you're saying this to make me feel better or not. It's like, but we only kill like the old ones. We wait for them to get really old and then die. And then, so that makes sense. And it's kind of a, circle of life, if you will, if we want to sing, from Lion King, which I don't because I can't sing. But
okay, so one of the shows that I caught on to this year, I only watched one season of it, by the way, but the show called Alive, where they basically dump a bunch of survivalists out in the middle of the wilderness. So I watched one episode, and or not one episode, but one season, and it's when they were in Patagonia. And they would catch trout, and it took them forever to figure out how to catch the trout because they're not given some of them, they're allowed to have like luxury items. So some of them tried to bring some hunting equipment, but it wasn't appropriate for actually living off the land instead of like trying to like in a farming setting or, you know what I mean, whatever, in a more civilized setting. So it took them forever to figure out how to catch the trout. But every single one of these individuals would like basically thank the fish for giving its life to them.
Oh, that is nice. Yeah.
And I thought that's a really good, I mean, it's almost like one of those things you want to do when you eat at the dinner table.
Yeah, you do. That is good. Thankful for all the food that comes our way. Good. So vegetarian? No, I like it. What about the only thing I have? Like, I tried going vegan, and I have and I saw a documentary on production of cheese and how like mass production of cheese, and with the cows and the mass production, they're treated inhumanely just as cows and the other thing. It's so sad. So I'm like, okay, I'm never going to eat cheese again. And yeah, Lori laughed right away because she knows how much I love cheese.
It's like your sustaining life source. I don't even know.
It's like I have it for like breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I met with a nutritionist once. She's like, can you give up cheese? I'm like, you don't understand. She's like, I told her, I'm like, I eat it a lot. She's like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, I had cheese for breakfast, I had cheese for lunch, and I had cheese and crackers for dinner, and then I had a snack of cheese and apple. She's like, oh, well, maybe once.
Really, you had an apple?
That was a special day.
Must have taken forever.
I know. So this is from, because one time Lori and I, we were both like, it was like in the, like, we're both working, whatever. I forget what it was late in the evening. Crazy hours. So we're tired. And I'm talking to her on the phone, and I was talking about how tired I was. I'm like, I'm just so, or how hungry I was, right? I'm like, I'm so hungry, but I really want this apple. It looks so good, but it's on my counter. And Lori's like, why don't you just go get it? I'm like, well, I have to like cut it. And like, rinse it off with water. It's just like too much effort. I can't put that type of effort into making my food. It's just like, you're not making an apple, you're eating it. Anyways, but I found this good like cashew nut cheese that it's not really like a hard cheese, it's more of a spread, and I love it. So once I get more situated again, I'm going to try to figure out how to make it, I think. But anyways, so Lori,
I have a post I can send you, Lori. I have a post, Carrie, I can send you. I've made that a couple times.
Oh, good. Is it, do you have to like soak the cashews overnight and just mix stuff and blend it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty easy.
Good. Yeah, it was really delicious when I bought it. And it satisfied the cheese craving too, because it didn't taste, I wouldn't call it cheese. It didn't taste like cheese, but it satisfied the craving that I had for cheese.
Turkey
Lori,
for Thanksgiving? Or did you avoid turkey for Thanksgiving too, Lauren?
Avoided.
You avoid? Oh, I actually ate it, but meat will be a special occasion thing. I think.
I do have a you guys may laugh at this, but I have my what do you call it? My special, like my exceptions. And it's the most unhealthy situation. Any meat that comes on a pizza, I consider okay. It's
Good
not
rule.
like real
I like
meat at that point. It's like so far away that I feel like it's okay.
Oh, that's funny. There are exceptions. So Lori, anything on your list?
I did the whole 11 thing.
Good. Oh, wait, stop right there. For the reason, everyone, for in the journal, there are 21 lists, and each list has 11 spaces. If you want to know why there's 21 and 11 items for each list, you're going to have to get the journal and read it in the beginning. Or you can just message me and I'll tell you. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm with Lauren on the working from home. When I first moved to LA, I quit being a lawyer and I came out here and I was like, I'm going to live this creative lifestyle, but I'm going to consult as a lawyer in Florida and live here. But it turns out all of the firms that I knew wanted me to actually be in the office, and I couldn't understand this because I worked for a corporation and I basically worked remotely because I was based in Miami and everybody I dealt with was not. So I just couldn't believe how what was the word I'm looking for? Like how behind the times the firms were. And I was like, I can do your work for you anywhere. Like I could literally be sitting on a beach and do your work for you anywhere. Well, now that COVID came along, the firms have caught up with the times. So now I am able to do what I initially thought I was going to be able to do 4 years ago when I moved out here, which is work part-time remotely as a Florida attorney in LA. And the money is good that way.
Yeah, gives you some more stability.
Yeah, it just opens like, so now I can write. I mean, I'm still getting used to like the brain power it takes to be a lawyer again.
It does.
But I have time to write. I have time to exercise. I have time to like do all this extra stuff, all the stuff that I wanted to do, and make an income. I mean, it's not great. I'm like, I'm still living with roommates or whatever, but it's still better than, like, initially I tried to be like, I worked at a grocery store, which was not something I could go back to as a 40-some-year-old. Like that's really a 20-something-year-old's job. I like did all this like low paying work that it was just awful. So this is like good. I'm still living that independent contractor gig lifestyle where it's like not, we were talking about this earlier, where it's not, it's still gig economy. So it's like, what happens if there's a holiday this week and I don't get as much?
Yeah. I think Greg and we also are in that, right? So we get that.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's a little stressful, but that being said, it's way better than it used to be when I was like dog sitting and I was dog walking, or, I mean, like all the little gig stuff that I was doing that wasn't paying that much. So So that's one thing I'm really happy about. I'm happy long distance contact with friends via Zoom. I am 100% the worst long distance friend there is, but now that everybody is in the same boat, it seems easier. I don't know, for some reason. And then one thing I call it my farm life. Because living on a farm, you can nap whenever you like, you have a lot of work to do, and then you go take a nap, or you know what I mean, like you have work and you have, it's just not so structured that it's like you can slow down and sort of just sit out on the front porch with a cup of coffee in the morning or in the afternoon, you know, or take a walk and just enjoy, or like go out and pick flowers and, you know, on your walk, you know, like stuff like that.
Yeah.
That you just, when you're when there's so much external pressure on you that you can't, like, you just don't have time to just sit and enjoy and like live slowly. So I like that. And then one of the things that I think is, I really hope that comes off of this, I live in I'm from a family that's not close, or not close, but we're close, but we don't express our emotions. We're not big huggers, but because you don't really know what's going to happen tomorrow, we now tell each other that we love each other every time we talk. And I can't remember ever telling my family that I love them.
That's nice. I'm just going to pause. That's nice. I know my my mom and my two sisters, we have a group chat, and every night it ends with, you know, I say goodnight, love you, and love you too. And I don't think we did that before this year. We would do it before we got on a plane. Before any one of us got on a plane, the one person would like message the others and say it, but it wasn't an everyday thing like it is now. And I think that is nice. So that's good. One of the things that you also, I connected with, Lori, was when you said like the being able to step into your pace, whatever that pace is. Like the time when you want to slow down, you can slow down. The time you want to speed up, you can speed up. And I think I had more moments. I had like different waves of like mindfulness and slowness that I appreciate. There are also waves of angst, I think, as I was trying to figure out my pattern. But where I am now is I'm kind of at a peace with the ebb and flow, going more with the ebb and flow with things. And I'm able to do that a little bit better, I think. So I'd like to, keep that going forward in 2020.
Carrie, I think I'd like to kind of come off an extension from that, a different one I had that I think builds on it a little bit, is the fact that everything's closed. I think for people like me who tend to always have FOMO, there's nowhere to go. There's not a big party happening. There's not a movie theater that's open. There's not a big, and we still are gone maybe more than maybe we should be. I mean, we're driving back right now from somewhere, but it's that forced slowdown. I think that gives people like me who tend to be real big goers an excuse.
Yeah, it's almost like permission to slow down. Yeah. Because especially like we're in the culture, we always have to be productive. If you're not producing something, if you're not generating, then you're kind of lazy. And that's not true. I'm just saying I don't know if you guys all have been raised with that, but that's kind of what I've been. So it's like a permission to slow down. It's nice.
Yeah, it's my favorite.
I'm just over it. But yeah, exactly. It's that opportunity and forced. I was trying to think of like another word.
I like opportunity. Yeah, I like you forced, and then I said permission, but I think the third word, opportunity, I like that one the best. An opportunity to slow down. I mean, they're all right. No judgment anyone. I mean, they're all right, but what else did I have? I think that the things I also like about 2020 is some of the and not to go too deep in stuff or too serious, but some of the conversations that we've started having, and some of it has gone in ways that maybe it's been a little rough in having the conversations about race and conversations about the environment and conversations, but I'm glad that we're having them. And I hope that they continue into 2021 and beyond. And then the other thing.
I had something like that where I said people taking time to look into themselves.
They are looking into themselves. And I think I was going to say, not into situations deeper, but like they're just looking into, I don't know, yeah, I don't have anything else to add to that, into themselves. That's good. It's true.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting from a racial perspective, but from a global pandemic, that's one country's issue. And just how I feel like there's been more awareness of what's happening outside of the United States or are in the States. I feel like it's very easy for people inside of the States to kind of stay in the bubble and talking about news in other countries. And I think that's very refreshing because of the pandemic.
I think what you're saying is probably very enlightening. We heard, because you froze up again, we heard there's an awareness as to race issues, there's an awareness outside of the US as to, and I'm filling in now, as to race in the US, but also race issues outside of the US and global connection, which there has been a global connection worldwide. I was in England and there were, talks, protests in England about it. One thing I want to end on, so two good things I also want to reset. So my mom has always been one that's just like always busy, and try to get a hold of her to talk to her is always been kind of hard. But since this, maybe not every day, but probably 5 to 6 days out of the week, we have like a little video call now. And even it's just like for 5 minutes, but I like that the regularity with it and the consistency. And then the last thing I was thinking of is just the signs where you saw humanity come together. Like when you would see the videos of the people singing on their balconies and like coming together, or I can't think of his name, like the Some Good News, those videos. And just, I hope people remember, like they're celebrating the goodness of each other because we're like kind of in this together. And I hope that celebration of the goodness continues and expands. So. Anything else? So what do you guys think about sharing this list and having this conversation about one of the list prompts?
I think it's awesome. I was telling you before that I think it's a good idea because for me, this has been a bumpy year. And so I started out on this super high note where I'm like, finally, I have the time to do this stuff that I've been wanting to do. And it was really great for me. And then, the end of May hit and we started to get into like the more difficult part of 2020 with race discussions and all of that. And I have been like ups and downs, like highs and lows. And when I go to the low point, I tend to shell up and I don't I have these thoughts and I need these thoughts and I know I need to have people in my life, but for some reason I can't bring myself to open up, I guess. And so it's really nice to sit down and have like this and be like, oh yeah, I'm feeling that too. Oh yeah, let's talk about this. I think it's a great idea.
Thank you. Well, thank you guys so much for being a part of it. And I get 100% what you're saying with that, Lori, because I see that internal struggle of, I got to figure it out by myself first, then maybe I can share it with others. And this is like, no, let's figure it out. Maybe not even figuring it out. Let's just be with each other in the process of it. And then things, I don't know, among friends, things always seem a little bit easier or brighter, or at least more enjoyable.
Well, it's also sort of an opportunity to understand that your friends don't judge you as harshly as you judge yourself.
Yeah, that's so true. That is a nice thing to remember. Okay, I'm going to end this with each list in the book has a quote associated with it. And the quote for this list is, "You see things and you say why, but I dream things that never were, and I say why not." So as everyone starts going forward into 2021 and think about the things that you want to keep in your life, just ask why not. And I was going to message this so you guys could answer this as a prompt, so I wasn't saying it, but I'm just going to say it myself. So where can you get the Being in 2020 journal? You can get it on Amazon. If you're in a country outside of the US, just go to your country's Amazon. It should be there. Search for Being in 2020 and Carrie Raleigh, and you will find it. And to Lauren, Greg, and Lori, thank you guys so much for being a part of this.
Thank you for the invite.
Thank you for inviting us. This is fun.
It was fun. So thank you. I'm going to stop recording, but stay on. Don't go. I lost oh, here it is. I'm going to have to edit this out.